is themselves. They need to take a moment, look in the mirror, and have that eye-to-eye, business-to-business, like they would in a boardroom conversation with themselves and go, hey, dude, what is it that you want? Do you just want to play around? And all of that is fine. Want to play, want to stay, want to, just think you're going to slip, trip, and run into it. I mean, it all happens. There's no right or wrong answer, but it all starts with what your story is. Everybody has a story. Everyone has a past. Everyone has baggage when they get to a certain age. They even have it at 16 these days. I mean, you don't know what you're stepping into, but the only thing you do know is who you are. And that you have to have that conversation with yourself as a man, just like you would talk to another man on the street,
right,
and say, okay, I don't really care who likes this or doesn't like this. This is what I'm about. And so what if that girl says no? There is someone out there that will say yes. And that is what is called a soulmate.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you kind of have to take ownership of who you are, where you're at, what you want, how you want to get there, all of these questions. I had somebody come in here the other day and they said to me, life is short and so am I. And that's his pickup line for girls. He basically he was, 5'5", but he basically owned what he considered to be a vulnerability or something that wasn't. And he's like, okay, here's the situation. Here's how I'm perceived. How do I perceive myself in a positive way? And how do I put that energy out there? And I thought it was a really effective mindset that he had to look at himself that way. He had clearly done the work. He had clearly been like, where am I missing out? Rather than walk around angry for 35 years because some girl, when he was 15 years old, didn't pay any attention to him, that a lot of men do. A lot of men carry the anger of the rejection around with them, not just into new relationships, but into relationships that they're never even going to have. And they need to process that. And they need to figure out, if you're really having a good time in your 20s and your 30s and the girls all like you and you're just loving it, at some point, is this enough? Do I want one? Do I want a different life? Do I want to have a family? And you have to start asking these questions before it gets to the point where you're just wandering in the wilderness.
Yes. I have heard on many different occasions that a man makes a decision on what his life is going to look like at the age from 25 to 32. And what I see is that they're right. And the naysayers on that are the actual men. It's like most of them, if they decide, okay, I want to play around or I want to focus on my career. And then when I'm in my 40s, after I've got my career out of the way, then I'll focus on dating. Some of them decide straight out of the gate, I want a baby, I want a family, and it doesn't matter what order that's in.
Right.
There's no right or wrong answer. I think it's just that men today feel like they need permission to be themselves because, when you're growing up, you typically have a mother. Typically. And, it's like everyone would say, go talk to mama. Even daddy, go talk to mama.
Right.
I am a mother, and I'm here to give the entire world permission to absolutely be themselves. And find your story, write your story, know your story, and communicate it well so that you can be the man that you've always wanted to be.
Right. And don't be afraid to understand and accept that who you are may not be who you ultimately can be or want to be.
100%.
But you have to first really take the temperature of who you are. You brought up those guys who are like, I'm going to make the money first and then I'll circle back around to the girls. Problem with those guys, and there are a lot of those guys in their 40s and 50s who are like, okay, I made the money. Where are the girls I was promised if I made the money? They didn't go through those formative social and dating years to really develop those skills, and they feel entitled. And they don't treat they think like, I have the things that I was told that they want. Why aren't all the girls falling over for me? And they develop a lot of anger, or they develop a lot of resentment. And they're just like, I worked really hard and now I'm, and there's some very, very successful and very, very famous men who are kicking around in their 40s and 50s, and they're assholes when it comes to women because they didn't get that training, that the process gives them, not just that some woman didn't give them, but going through relationships and breakups and challenges and not having everything come easy for you. If you just basically shut down blinders and then at 46 years old, you're like, I'm here, here's my American Express Black Card, where the girls, it doesn't work that way.
Nope. It's going back to they cultivated every skill except for the love side of it and learning how to be mature in dating. Going back to what I said originally, everything else grew up but that little spot.
Right.
And it's like they dated, but they're still dating like they're in high school. And now you add resource to that. And this is where they get labeled, we'll call it a label, an asshole, because they're treating dating like a business.
Right.
And
it's transactional.
Yeah, it is not transactional. And there's nothing worse than telling a powerful man that their money does not impress you. And they don't take that well.
No.
And they don't know how to process that. And then they divert to, a age bracket that may or may not be, I'm not saying that age really has a thing to do with it because, different minds evolve at different times.
Yeah.
But predominantly, older men will date younger women because they don't want to deal with somebody who's their equal because they haven't evolved. And that is where things get skewed in life. That is where a resentment is created. And that is where rejection is cultivated and tucked away in the little heart of this massive man that's running massive empires and killing it on every factor except his love. And it's like, again, I go back to, what do you want? And why do you want it? You don't go out and create a business because you want anything other than the satisfaction of being stable. It's the same thing in love. What do you want?
Yeah. You pick up the guitar because you think it's going to get you laid eventually.
And it does sometimes. It does at some point. There's not one person out there that doesn't have a musician story.
That's right.
Not one. If they tell you they do, whether it's the church choir or the AC/DC concert or whatever, or your country music guru, somebody's got a story.
Somebody's got a story. We got to take a quick break because we got to pay the bills around here. We're with the ManFixer, Heather Leigh, and we're trying to figure out the fellas, and we will be back right after this. And we are back, and we're talking about what the boys need to do better, and what the women's role in that is that too. You heard me say earlier that in a lot of ways, the women have emasculated the ones that they want to be the masculine one. They've cut the balls off, and then they say, "Why aren't you having your balls?" And that's a tricky circle for both, because I get that the rise of the independent women has changed some of the energy in the room, and that's fine. But you can raise yourself up without putting him down. You can. We should be equally growing together. A good relationship is moving at similar paces, hand in hand, side by side. It's not I'm up, so he needs to be down. It's not revenge. It's not fuck these boys, and it's not she's a bitch. It's not all this negative energy that comes into what should be a positive experience of moving both of us forward, right?
I agree 110%. What I see is that in the world of dating, and listen, I'm as independent as it gets, and I have done my fair share of emasculating and complaining and kicking the shit out of guys just because they weren't good enough. But as I've grown, I'm here to stand up for the guys in that category because it's not okay. It's not okay. You can't say that you want something and then them do it, and then you get pissed off at them because they did what you said. And every single situation is that. You get what you say you want, and what you want is what you get. And words is that's what we all follow. And I am really tired of sitting in pools and pools and pools. I'm all about women empowerment. I have seen so many incredible, successful women also pull off having incredible, successful marriages, dating relationships, raising boys, doing all of these things simultaneously. And, I'm really tired of hearing the single women talk about and pulling guys together and saying that they're like gum on the bottom of their shoe, that they're just, turds in the yard. I mean, I'm like, I don't understand what it means anymore when they say this. And my question to them is, can you live up to your own expectation?
Right.
And that is for the women, not the men.
Well, what is the woman's, I'll use the word responsibility, but that's probably not the right word, in terms of none of us are probably good enough, meaning none of us are really at the level that you really need us to be. But as long as we're moving towards that, what is her responsibility in terms of saying all the dudes are fixer-uppers and all the dudes have the ability, I think, if properly led, enticed, coached, trained, whatever the word you want to be is, doing that versus he's just got to figure her out, you know, because she's not the same thing on any given hour of the day either. You might be a completely different person at 8 a.m. as 8 p.m. or Tuesday to Thursday or, you know, summer to spring. It could be completely different. So, it's something sort of romantic about winging it and just hope you take your hand and dive in the deep end together. But there is some information that should be transmitted early on and often that can at least give them a roadmap to your happiness.
Okay, well, to answer that in two parts. First of all, it is a proven fact. You attract what you are. And if you have anger towards something, that is usually called this beautiful thing, reflection, deflection, whatever you want to call it. It's the action side of yourself. And the second part of that is there is only one person that can change, and that is you. You cannot change another person. You have to find your happiness internally and not put the pressure on a guy to make you happy because he has a black card, he has all these pretty little things, and then he doesn't take, or whatever it is. I just use that as an example because of what you were talking about.
Can you create an environment where that change can flourish?
Absolutely.
Because that's different. It means everybody's like, oh, I want to be a complete person, then I'll find another complete person. None of us are ever complete. We're all works in progress. I think that if you get yourself 80% there and you find somebody who's 80% there, that together, the two of you can figure out a way to get you guys 18, 19% further down the road.
Of course you can.
And I think understanding that there are things that you can do in terms of communication, in terms of reinforcing confidence, in terms of a whole lot of things that can let this person be someone who they never were before or never knew they could be.
It just starts with the changing of your words. You're an asshole. You didn't take out the trash.
Right.
You didn't wash the dishes. You left your clothes in the laundry basket. I'm going to leave everything exactly where it is because you didn't do it. And it's like maybe that person just is used to living nasty. I don't know. But it all starts with, hey, I really liked it the other day when you took that trash out.
You're so hot when you take the garbage out.
So sexy. That just made my day because I dealt with trash all day. And to know that you took care of our home trash was incredible.
Right. So you got to do it once so you give an example to fall back on.
Yes. And that can be used in anything. I don't know about you, but I had a South Georgia grandma, and she just always told me, she was like, you get more with honey. And it's like, you can't kill them with kindness. Do something outside and find your words. We're all educated people.
Right. If you're like, listen, instead of complaining that he shows up on a date in a Kobe Bryant jersey, that you're like, you know what? I like Kobe Bryant. He was a great player or whatever, but you look so amazing in a blue suit. Will you wear that? He's going to wear the blue suit. He's probably not going to, if you say like, oh, are you going to wear that again? We're going somewhere nice. Then it's a fight and then it's contentious. Then he did something wrong. Mm-hmm. But if you're like, okay, this is something, but I'm going to take you somewhere else. I think most guys can be led that way.
Oh, they can. And if just to that example, it's like, how about you communicate the dress code? I have never not communicated a dress code to a guy because I raised a boy, and it's like, who's now a man. Okay. And you just go, look, I started dressing him until he was in the, until he was in the 5th grade. And, they start picking on each other of, hey, your mama dressed you. He goes, no, but she gave me the code,
Okay. So somebody's going to take you out to dinner. Do you give them a dress code?
You ask, what should I wear? And then you don't care. Okay. I'm coming dressed to the 9s no matter what, because you can never dress down.
All right. I'm going to be dressed to the 5s.
Okay, well, I don't know what a 5 looks like, but I'm assuming that's the sports jersey.
That's the Kobe Bryant jersey.
That's the sports jersey, and if you have chosen the place, then okay, that's going to be cool. Now, if it's a sports bar, then that's appropriate. It's just having a conversation